My childhood friend stole my family's bakery after my dad died of cancer. My dad said it in the hospital room, his voice barely a whisper. Promise me you'll keep it going. His hand was cold in mine. The machines beeped steady beside us. My mom sat in the corner, crying quietly into her hands. The oncologist had left 20 minutes ago. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 3 weeks, maybe 4. I squeezed his hand. I promise. He smiled. Weak, tired, but real. The bakery's yours. Always was. That was 6 days before he died. The bakery sat on the corner of 5th and Marion. Red brick, white awning, gold letters that said, Sullivan's in my grandfather's handwriting. My dad took over when he was 23. I was supposed to be next. I grew up in that kitchen. My first memory is standing on a wooden stool, hands covered in flour, my dad teaching me how to fold dough. I was 5. He let me punch down the risen sourdough and I'd laugh every time. He'd laugh with me. Every morning smelled like fresh bread, butter, cinnamon, yeast rising in the warmth. Every birthday cake came from that oven. Every Christmas cookie, every wedding order in town went through us. We weren't just a bakery. We were the neighborhood. People came in for coffee and stayed for an hour. My dad knew everyone's name. He knew Mrs. Patterson took her coffee black with exactly 1 sugar. He knew Tommy Rodriguez's favorite cookies were the chocolate chip ones with sea salt. He knew the Henderson family ordered the same birthday cake every year, vanilla with raspberry filling. The bakery wasn't just work, it was who we were. When I turned 22, I brought Marcus in. Marcus was my best friend since sophomore year. We played basketball together, got drunk at parties. He was at my graduation, my dad's 60th birthday. He needed work. His mom was sick and he dropped out of college to take care of her. I trusted him. My dad liked him too, said he had good energy, said he worked hard. We taught him everything. The sourdough starter that my grandfather began in 1967, the cinnamon rolls my dad perfected over 30 years, how to run the register, how to talk to customers, how to open at 4 in the morning and close at 7 at night. Marcus stayed late, helped clean, covered shifts when I couldn't. He became part of it. Customers started asking for him by name. He learned their orders, their stories. He fit right in. I thought I'd done something good, given my friend a job, brought him into the family business. I had no idea what I'd actually done. 2 years later, my dad started feeling tired, weak. He thought it was age. 58 wasn't old, but the bakery was hard work, lifting 50-pound bags of flour, standing for 12 hours. He went to the doctor for a checkup. They found the tumor 3 days later. Stage 4, pancreatic, inoperable. 6 months if he was lucky. My dad kept working, even when the chemo made him nauseous, even when he lost 30 pounds and could barely stand. He'd come in at 5 in the morning and check the dough. He'd smile at customers like nothing was wrong. He'd make jokes. He'd pretend. The bakery kept him alive. I know it did. I took over most of the work. Marcus picked up the rest. He stayed late when I had to take my dad to treatments. He opened when I couldn't. He told me he had my back, that we were family. I believed him. My dad's last month was bad. He couldn't get out of bed most days. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. The morphine kept him calm, but it made him confused. He'd forget where he was. He'd ask for my mom even when she was sitting right next to him. He'd ask about the bakery, if the bread was rising properly, if we remembered to order more vanilla extract. I'd hold his hand and tell him everything was fine, that the bakery was running perfectly, that he didn't need to worry. He'd nod, close his eyes, drift off. One afternoon, Marcus came to the hospital, brought flowers, sat with my dad for 20 minutes. My dad smiled at him, weak, barely there. You're a good kid, my dad said. Marcus squeezed his hand. I'll take care of everything. Don't worry. I thought he meant the bakery, covering shifts, keeping things running while I stayed with my dad. I didn't know what he really meant. My dad died on a Tuesday morning. I was holding his hand. My mom was crying. The heart monitor went flat and the nurse came in and turned off the machines. The room went quiet. I sat there for an hour, just holding his hand, staring at the wall. The funeral was 4 days later. 100 people showed up. Customers, friends, people from the neighborhood. Everyone loved my dad. Everyone had a story about him. The time he gave free bread to a family who couldn't pay. The time he stayed open late to finish a wedding cake. The time he taught a kid how to make cookies because the kid's mom was in the hospital. Marcus was there, front row, crying. He hugged me after, told me he was sorry, that my dad was a great man. I thanked him. The week after the funeral was a blur. I tried to keep the bakery running, tried to be there for my mom, tried to handle the bills and the paperwork and everything that comes with death. I barely slept. I'd wake up at 3 in the morning and go to the bakery and start the dough and try not to think about how my dad should be standing next to me. Marcus kept showing up, kept working, kept acting like everything was normal. I thought he was being a good friend. A week later, I went to the lawyer's office to finalize the estate. My dad's will was clear. Everything went to my mom, the house, the savings, the bakery. The lawyer looked at me when I sat down, confused. Why are you here? I blinked. To transfer the bakery into my name. My dad left it to me. He frowned, opened a file, flipped through pages. The bakery isn't in your father's name. I stared at him. What? He turned the file toward me, pointed at a document. Ownership was transferred 8 weeks ago to Marcus Holloway. The room tilted. I couldn't breathe. That's impossible. He shook his head. It's legal. Signed and notarized. Your father transferred full ownership on March 9th. March 9th. My dad was in the hospital, barely conscious, on morphine. He couldn't sign his name. His hands shook so badly he couldn't hold a pen. I'd watched him try to sign a birthday card for my mom and he'd cried because he couldn't do it. Can I see the signature? He slid the document across the desk. I looked at it. My dad's name, but the handwriting was wrong, shaky, uneven, looping in places my dad never looped. My dad's signature was clean, sharp, confident. 40 years of signing receipts and invoices and checks. I knew that signature. This wasn't it. This isn't his signature. The lawyer lawyer sighed. It's notarized. It's legal. If you want to dispute it, you'll need to file a challenge. How much does that cost? 10,000, maybe more. Could take years. I didn't have 10,000. The funeral cost 8. My mom's medical bills were stacking up. I was broke. I drove to the bakery. My hands were shaking so badly I almost crashed twice. I parked across the street and sat there for 10 minutes, just breathing, trying to understand. Marcus was there, behind the counter, smiling at a customer, ringing up a coffee and a croissant like he owned the place. Because he did. I waited until the customer left. Then I walked in. The bell above the door chimed. Marcus looked up, saw me. His face didn't change. Hey, you okay? I walked up to the counter, kept my voice low. What the hell is going on? He frowned. What do you mean? The bakery. The lawyer said you own it. He nodded, casual, like we were talking about the weather. Yeah, your dad signed it over. My dad was dying. He couldn't even write. Marcus shrugged. He knew you couldn't handle it. He wanted someone who could keep it running, someone responsible. I felt my hands shaking. My face was hot. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to scream. You forged his signature. He leaned against the counter, crossed his arms, looked me right in the eye. Prove it. Prove it. I stared at him. This was Marcus, my best friend, the guy I trusted, the guy I brought into my family, the guy who sat in my living room and ate my mom's cooking and played video games with me until 3 in the morning. Why? He smiled. Not warm, not friendly, cold. Because I could. I tried to fight it. I called every lawyer in town. None of them would take the case without a retainer. 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. I couldn't afford it. I called the notary. Her name was Linda Cho. She answered on the 3rd ring. I need to ask you about a document you notarized for Marcus Holloway in March. She was quiet for a second. I notarize a lot of documents. This one transferred ownership of Sullivan's Bakery. My father was the owner. He was dying. I don't think he could have signed it. I witnessed the signing. Everything was legal. You saw my father sign it? Another pause. Yes, she was lying. I could hear it in her voice. My father was in the hospital on March 9th. He couldn't write. He was on morphine. You didn't see him sign anything. I have to go. She hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, shaking. Marcus changed the locks 2 weeks later. I showed up to work and my key didn't fit. He was inside. He waved at me through the window, smiled. I stood there, staring. People walked past me. Customers going in, coming out with coffee and pastries. My dad's pastries. My grandfather's recipes. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break the glass. I wanted to burn the whole place down. But I didn't. I just left. 6 months later, Marcus sold the bakery to a corporate chain, some national coffee company that was buying up local shops and turning them into franchises. They gutted it, ripped out my grandfather's ovens, the ones he'd bought in 1967, tore down the wallpaper my dad hung in 1993, painted over the menu board where we wrote specials every morning in chalk. They turned it into a generic coffee shop with drive-through windows and plastic booths and a menu that was the same in every city. I drove past it once, saw the new sign, the new colors, the new everything. I couldn't look. Marcus took the money and bought a house, a new car, started a consulting business, posted photos on Instagram, smiling, traveling, living my dad's legacy like it was nothing. I spent a year planning. I started with the notary, Linda Cho. I found her office, small place downtown. I looked her up online, found her social media, found her patterns. She had coffee at the same place every morning, Dunkin' Donuts on 8th Street, 7:15, every day. I went there, sat 2 tables away, watched her. She was in her 50s, tired looking, overworked. She ordered the same thing every time, medium coffee, 2 creams, blueberry muffin. I waited 3 weeks, learned her routine, where she parked, what time she left, who she talked to. Then I approached her. Linda Cho? She looked up, startled. Yes? I sat down, slid a photo across the table. My dad's forged signature next to a real one from 2 years earlier. You notarized this. Her face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. I leaned forward, kept my voice low, calm. My dad was dying. He couldn't write. You notarized a forged document so Marcus Holloway could steal my family's business. You committed fraud. She looked around, nervous. The coffee shop was busy. People everywhere. I didn't. How much did he pay you? She didn't answer. I pulled out an envelope. $5,000. Everything I had left. Money I'd saved from working 2 jobs for the past year. Night shifts at a warehouse. Weekends at a restaurant. I was exhausted, broken. But I had this. Tell the truth. Sign an affidavit saying you never saw my dad sign that document. This is yours. She stared at the money, then at me. Her hands were shaking. He paid me $2,000. Said it was just paperwork. Said your dad wanted it done quick because he was sick. Said it was easier this way. Did you see my dad sign it? She hesitated, looked down at her coffee. Then she shook her head. Marcus brought it already signed. I just notarized it. He said your dad couldn't come in because he was in the hospital. So you committed fraud. I didn't know. You knew. You just didn't care. She started crying, quiet, ashamed. I handed her the envelope. Sign the affidavit. Tell the truth. You get the money and I don't press charges against you. She took it. I took the affidavit to the police, filed a report. Fraud, forgery, exploitation of a vulnerable adult. They arrested Marcus 3 days later. I wasn't there. I didn't want to be. But I watched the news story online. His mugshot, his face, shocked, angry, scared. I felt nothing. The case took 8 months. Marcus hired a lawyer, fought it, claimed my dad really did sign it, that I was lying, that I was bitter and jealous. But the evidence was clear. The affidavit, the handwriting analysis from an expert, the medical records showing my dad couldn't sign documents in his final weeks, the hospital logs showing he was barely conscious on March 9th. Marcus pled guilty. 2 years in prison. Restitution of $140,000, the amount he made from selling the bakery. But I wasn't done. I contacted the corporate chain, told them the sale was based on fraud, that Marcus didn't legally own the property when he sold it, that I was the rightful heir and they'd they'd bought stolen property. They panicked. Lawyers called me, offered a settlement. 50,000. I said no. 100,000. I said no. 200,000 to make it go away. I took it. I used part of the money to hire a PR firm, posted everything online, court documents, affidavits, news articles. Marcus's full name attached to every search result. Marcus Holloway fraud, Marcus Holloway theft, Marcus Holloway forgery, Marcus Holloway forgery. His consulting business collapsed within a month. His clients left. No one wanted to work with a convicted fraudster. His girlfriend broke up with him. His family stopped talking to him. His mom, the one he'd said he was taking care of, disowned him. I didn't stop. I called every business Marcus had worked with, every client, every contact, sent them the court records, told them what he did, made sure no one would hire him, made sure everyone knew. I wanted him to feel what I felt. Powerless, broke, alone. Marcus went to prison, served 18 months, got out last year. I know because I have Google alerts set up for his name. I opened a new bakery 6 months ago. Smaller place, different neighborhood, but mine. I used the settlement money, bought equipment, hired staff, rebuilt everything from scratch. I make my dad's sourdough every morning. I wake up at 4 a.m., use the same starter my grandfather began in 1967. I'd kept it alive all these years, fed it every week, even when I had nowhere to bake, even when I thought I'd never have a bakery again. The kitchen smells like butter and yeast and everything I grew up with. Customers come in. They ask about the recipes. I tell them about my dad, about my grandfather, about Sullivan's. Some of them remember the old place. They smile. They say they're glad I'm back. The day Marcus got released from prison, I sent him a photo. My bakery, full of customers, the line out the door, the name on the window, Sullivan's. The text said, "Thanks for the lesson." He never replied.